A time comes in the life of every race when people are driven by echoes of the past to chart a course for an exalted future. Africa is at this threshold, as major actors in the Africa arena plot a renaissance towards common destiny. Let's pedal across the streams of yesterday, from the backstreets of Africa to the defining roles of policymakers, the political realities of the African nation, balance of power, and the strive to sustain national interest and identity. Join us on Network Africa on Channels Television. Network Africa, the rallying point for the emergence of a new Africa.
Hello and welcome to Network Africa. I am Adeshewa Josh. This week, child rights activist Malala Yousafzai visits Nigeria, advocates the safe return of the abducted Chibok school girls.
When I heard about the Nigerian girls that they are being abducted, I felt that my sisters were in prison, and I think that we should not remain silent.
How far has the United States gone with its promises on combating terrorism in Nigeria? U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs Linda Thomas-Greenfield gives us an update.
We're working across the board with the Nigerian government, but we're also working with governments in the region. Nigeria's four neighbors who have also suffered the impact of Boko Haram, particularly Cameroon.
And Libya's main airport attacked by militants as heavy weapon exchange paralyzes airport operations.
ECOWAS 45th General Meeting ends with resolutions on curbing the spread of the deadly Ebola virus and tackling regional insecurity, among others.
I wish to reiterate our solidarity with the people and government of Nigeria. We welcome the support of ECOWAS to the counter-terrorism efforts of the government of Nigeria, reflecting the solidarity of the countries of the region and their legitimate concern about the spread of violent extremism.
Details after the break. We'll be right back. She's just 17 years old, but Malala Yousafzai is undeterred in her advocacy for child education. During her visit to Nigeria on Monday, July the 14th, she didn't mince words at all while speaking to President Goodluck Jonathan about the release of the abducted Chibok school girls. Malala noted that her birthday wish is that the rest of the girls, who have now spent exactly 3 months in captivity, be returned safely and get to continue their education.
She has fully recovered from gunshots from terrorists and is today advocating that all girls, no matter the odds, should be made to go to school. She carried her campaigns to Nigeria, precisely into the presidential villa, on her birthday to meet with President Goodluck Jonathan behind closed doors. They sat for about an hour, and in her usual fearless manner, she bears her mind to the press on the outcome of the meeting, wondering why anyone would deprive girls from going to school. She is, however, happy with the promise she got from the president.
The president fortunately promised me that he will do something for these girls, and he promised me that the girls will be returned as soon as possible.
She had, on her arrival in Nigeria, met with some of the parents of the missing girls. She got another promise from the president on meeting with those parents.
At this time, they need support, they need people's support, they need their president's support. So I asked the president that is it possible for him to go and see the parents, to see these girls, to encourage them and to tell them that yes, their daughters will return home. And the president did promise me. He said that he will meet the parents of these girls, and I'm hopeful that these two promises, the return of those girls who are under the abduction of Boko Haram and meeting the parents of those girls, will be fulfilled, and we would see it really soon.
Funding of education is of concern to Malala. While she pledged to donate $200,000 from her fund, the federal government also told her what is being done so far.
The money spent on education should definitely be increased. This is how this country is going to develop, and I believe in the power of education. If Nigeria wants to have a bright future, then every child here should get the opportunity of going to school.
Education is one of President Jonathan's main priority areas, and I think the percentage is more than what has been quoted. And in terms of what has been provided, infrastructure, expansion of access to education, this administration has proven to be really committed to education both at the basic level and also at the tertiary level.
Malala said that even though the promises have been made, she's not going to stop until the girls are released and be made to continue with their education.
Malala spoke to our Foreign Affairs correspondent Amarachi Ubani on Boko Haram and a proposed solution to ending the insurgency, among other things.
My intention was to meet the president and to raise the issues that girls in Nigeria are facing and they are suffering through. The meeting was arranged quite quickly, and the president agreed to the meeting. That was so nice of him, and he agreed that he would listen to the voices which I'm going to represent to him and the voices of those girls who are suffering from terrorism here in this country. So in the meeting when I met him, I highlighted the issues and I told him that I have already met the girls who escaped from the kidnapping, and those girls need your support. Those girls need your support because they are suffering through such a big trauma and they are still not going to school, so their education is very important. As well as the parents whom I met, they all were crying and they said that we want our daughters to be brought back and we want to see our daughters again. We want our daughters to return home and continue their education. So I highlighted this issue to the president, and the answer of the president was that he promised me two things. The first was that he will make sure that all the girls return home safely, and the second promise that he made was he will definitely meet the parents of these girls and he will make them sure that the girls are returning back, and he will try his best.
But the president's promise comes amidst, a lot of frustration from a lot of people who feel that, a lot of time has been wasted. It's been over 90 days. We're still looking for the girls. When are they coming home and so on? Do you see that frustration also?
Well, I started the campaign for the release of the girls since April, and we have been doing it. But in the beginning, people were really talking about it on Twitter, and then it just dropped down. People stopped talking about it, but it was my campaign that I would continue speaking about it, and I will continue until these girls are released. So even though the president had made so many promises, I'm still going to continue the campaign for my Nigerian sisters until my Nigerian sisters are released and they continue their education and they start going back to their schools, they return to their families safely.
You gave a strong message to Boko Haram in your speech. You said their actions are non-Islamic. Do you think the group will listen to you? Do you think Boko Haram will listen to what you say?
Well, I'm hopeful that they will listen to my message and they will think about what they are doing, because Islam is a religion of peace, and the word Islam means peace, and in Islam education is allowed for both girls and boys, and it is compulsory, and the first word that was revealed on Prophet was Iqra, which means read. So Islam gives a message of tolerance, patience, harmony, humanity, and Islam tells us to be kind to each other, to love each other, and they should realize what's the real message of Islam. But in fact, they are not even thinking about the true message of Islam, which is brotherhood, which says that we all are brothers and sisters, and the girls they have abducted are like their sisters. So they should think about their own sisters, and they should release their sisters as soon as possible, and they should put down their weapons, and they should stop this fighting, and they should release my sisters, they should release the daughters of Nigeria.
Well, you have had your own share of a terrorist group attack on your own person. 2 years ago, you were shot in the face, and thank God for you're alive and you're well. But what's the message that you have back home in Pakistan, and how effective is your message to your people?
Well, a situation all around the world is getting worse. Even in Pakistan, there are about more than 5 million children who are out of school. And nowadays, there is a military operation in the north of Pakistan, and people are leaving their homes. They're becoming refugees. And more than 8 lakh, which is 800,000 people, they have left their homes, and now their children cannot go to school. They have no access to education, so it's very important for them to continue their education. So I raise my voice for them as well, and as well as I want every child in my country to get education, especially girls, because girls are the most deprived ones. And all over the world, it's my message that education should be the top priority of every country.
And are you seeing the effects of your campaign in Pakistan?
Well, I'm trying my best, and in Pakistan there are many girls who have started going back to school, and there are many parents who are sending their daughters to school because they think that education is very important. They have realized it, and I'm trying my best from my side as well. We have set up the Malala Fund, and through the Malala Fund we are helping children to get education. We did our projects in Pakistan by providing scholarship to the domestic child laborers. Now they are getting education. We did projects in Jordan for the Syrian refugees. We did projects in Kenya, and now here we are doing projects in Nigeria as well. We have raised about $200,000 and we are making sure that children in Nigeria get scholarships and they get quality education and they get safe environment as well. So these are our next project here in Nigeria.
You have recovered very well from that shooting, and I'm glad to see that you're okay. But have there been changes in your life since that day that it happened and since your recovery?
I always say that when I was attacked, since that time I'm feeling strong, I'm feeling more powerful, and I don't lose hope anymore because people are with me, people are supporting me. And as I look back at the past year, we have done a lot of things through the Malala Fund, and now I'm realizing that the world is focusing on education. There are world leaders who are now giving attention to education, but the journey is not completed yet. It's a long way, and we should continue this journey, and I'm hopeful that a day will come that every child will be going to school.
Your message is that terrorist groups, governments sit down and terrorist groups sit down and talk about what their grievances are with the government. Do you see that as the only way to solve terrorism and the rise of insurgency in countries?
The first thing is that the situation in every country is quite different. So in Pakistan, they are doing a military operation, and in Nigeria, the situation is quite different, and the government will better understand. But my message is that we can kill terrorists in war, but if we want a long-term solution for it, that is education. Educate the future generation. Tell them to learn about harmony. Tell them to learn about respecting each other's cultures, traditions, and respecting each other's color and language and religion. So we need to focus on education. This is the way we can fight terrorism, and we should make sure that the 10.5 million children who are without education in Nigeria, they go to school, and the millions of children all around the world who have no access to school start their education.
You've heard criticism about what you're doing. People have said that you become the poster child for the West when it comes to girl child education. What's your response to critics when they make comments like that?
Well, I haven't seen anyone becoming famous and then there won't be any critics. There would always be critics, but I am true to my campaign, and my campaign is education, and I believe that education is neither Western nor Eastern. Education is education, and education is the right of every child, and I will continue this campaign. People should understand that Malala's campaign is to see every child going to school, and I will continue doing it. I don't know how people relate it to the westernization, but this is my only campaign, and this is what I do. I speak up for children's rights, I speak up for women's rights, and I speak up for equality and justice.
When the Chibok girls first went missing, the campaign to rescue them went viral on social media, making it a world-class phenomenon. The international community waded in on the matter as various governments around the world pledged their support to the federal government